Okay. So yesterday we have seen, yes, it is possible to move the object from one storage class to another storage class using LCM, right? So there we need to create LCM rules. So this LCM, this one, in this LCM, let's say, so let's say this is our LCM, life cycle management. Okay. So every is individual, correct? So every bucket is individual. So every bucket you have the same options. So you cannot create any rule combining all the buckets. All right. So here so if you want to create an LCM rule, you need to create for that bucket. So here we need to create an LCM rule, and you can create a rule for, guys, what is the rule about? The rule is all about moving the object from one storage class to another storage class, correct? So you can create the rule for the current version and the previous version also. Current version and both the previous versions. So you can create a rule for current version and previous versions. Let me give an example. Let's say, for example, I have my objects in frequently access. I have my objects in frequently access. So after that, I'm not accessing my objects frequently. I want to move these objects to in IA, infrequently access. So what is the minimum duration I should keep it? If you want to move it, 30 days, right? So maybe after 30 days, I'll be moving it to IA. So now after IA, I'm not, so once in a while I'm using it, but I'm sure that I will not be using this anymore. I should be push it to the Glacier, correct? So can I use this example? See, so Glacier, how many days is required to move to the Glacier? 90 days. But we have already, the object is already completed 30 days. So how many days left if you want to move to the Glacier? 60 days. So this is called, if you want to move like this is called transition. What is this called? Transition. So guys, I have given an example, moved from the objects from frequently accessed to infrequently and from there to Glacier. So you can move it to one zone or it's up to you based on your requirement. So you have two types of actions. One is transition. Let's say, for example, in Glacier, it was there for 1 year. After 1 year, do you need the data at all? So let's consider if you don't need the data, what you need to do? Delete after, you can put some date, 365 days. So this is called expiration. So in LCM, we have two things. What are those? Transition and expiration. Write down these two words. Transition and expiration. Transition and expiration. Transition and expiration. Okay. So, and this LCM is also created on the bucket level, guys. Okay. LCM is created on bucket level. LCM is created, but applied on object level. Okay. So if you want to create it on bucket level, so guys, where kind of objects that you want to move? So if you want to move all the objects in the bucket, you can move it. Or else, can you set up only for prefix? What is prefix? Prefix is nothing but subfolder, no? So can you select only for that subfolder if you don't want to do it for entire bucket? Yes. So you can select the subfolder, a prefix, and then you can set up your LCM rules. So there are two types of actions. What are those? Transition and expiration. There are two types of actions. Transition and expiration. Okay, very simple. All small concepts you have. So there is also another small concept. Let's say, guys, let's say for example, I have a bucket name called movies, for example. Bucket name called movies. So I have so many movies here. So, and I want to, so I have my bucket and I have so many movies here. Okay. And I want to know who is accessing my bucket. I want to see the logs. Who is accessing my bucket? So to generate the logs, is it good to generate the logs in the same bucket or create a separate bucket for the logs? What do you suggest? Yes. So create a bucket separately, call it as movie logs, something. Movie access log. So this you can set up a log separate bucket log this. So if you want to generate the logs and see the logs, there is a concept called server access logs. Server access logs. So this is a concept where if you want to know who is accessing your bucket, who is accessing your buckets. So if you want to know who is accessing your buckets, then go for this. Server access logs are bucket level. So if you want to log it, who want to access your bucket, so then you can go ahead and then enable the server access logs. So server access logs is on the bucket level. Guys, just in case if you want to log who is accessing your objects, guys, which is the service where each and everything will be recording all your operations? Which service is that? CloudTrail. Very good. So guys, if you want to know, if you want to see object level logs, who is accessing what and all, so you need to go and check on the CloudTrail, because CloudTrail is a guy where you will be, everything is getting recorded over there. So bucket level logging, which is a concept that you should implement, everyone. Bucket level logging, you should use server access logs. Object level loggings, you should use CloudTrail. Okay. And also you have, guys, you can go and lock the object also. We call it as object lock. Object lock. So you can lock permanently or you can lock at a certain period of time. So in this case, no one can update, no one can modify, no one can delete, nothing for the object. So you can lock permanently, right? So permanently Salanga. Permanently. Okay. Understood, guys? So these are all the small things that you can go ahead and then enable it, right? And also all the logs will be generated over here. Guys, can you go ahead and can understand those logs, big, huge logs? The logs will be not formatted. It looks like in a single line without any delimiter, everything is mixed. Is it easy to go and find out the things from the logs? No, you cannot. So you need to have something to analyze those logs, right? So there is a service, a separate service, not S3. There is something called Athena. What is that called? Athena. So it is used to analyze the logs directly from S3. Certification question, guys. So Athena is used to analyze the logs from S3. So this is, most of the developers will be using it. How do they do is basically, so they will create a table, right? They will create a table. So the table, they know, right? So what is there in the logs? Based on the logs, they'll create the columns. They'll create the columns, they'll rows and columns, they'll create it. Let's say I'm giving some examples. So here, guys, the logs will be in a single line, right? The logs can be, each line can be a delimiter. Using this, you can use IP. So you can create a table with the source, where is the destination, which objects you are using, right? And which method you are using, and which URL using, and what time. Guys, based on the log, you can segregate those columns, and then all the logs will be filled as a rows here. So you have so many logs, right? So in one log, you have so many hundred thousands of lines. So all those lines will be considered as a rows and get, an IP. Let's say, for example, you have for example, guys, let's say you have, let's say, like 192.168.10.20, and then source, and then destination, like, then it will be like this. Get object is property.jpg, put method, right? Or get method like this, and time. So it will be in a single line where you will not be able to understand. So basically, you can segregate all the logs using this IP, source, name, destination, and all this all these logs, you can go for it and then push it in the rows. And then however you want, you can write SQL queries and to retrieve and get the data. SQL, Swati. Got it? So this is for to analyze the logs. If you have so many logs and if you want to analyze the logs, then go with the Athena. Is that clear? Is that clear? So whose job is to analyze? It depends. If you want to analyze, you can do it, or developers can do it. Mostly developers. Yes, object log is for security purpose. If you want to log it, yeah. What the bucket data? Bucket data is nothing but the logs you have it, no? What do you have in the bucket? Logs only, no? Okay, so the next thing here we have is CORS. Developers might have heard this. Cross origin resource sharing. What is that? Cross origin resource sharing. So this is mostly used by the developers, not used. It's a basically kind of configuration. So what is this about? So usually you will get this kind of issues from S3. Let me give an example how this course works. So let's say I created a bucket call, for example, course bucket. So course bucket one. And then I have uploaded index.html inside this. I've uploaded index.html. Can I enable static website hosting on this bucket, guys? And then open my index.html as a browser, as an application here? Yes or no? So yes. So I open my application. So index.html, I have opened it. Okay, this is the browser. I can open it, right? So now, can I upload a puppy.jpg inside this bucket? Yes. Also, can you tell me, is it possible to call this puppy.jpg inside index.html? Can I call? Obviously, no. We can call the images in the index.html, right? So we can call that image puppy.jpg into this index.html. Whenever you open index.html, we should see puppy here. Yes. Okay. It's puppy or cat. Okay. So here, okay. So you embed this puppy.jpg. So whenever you open index.html, you see the puppy here, right? Will this work? All good? Okay. Now, so what is that? Uh, oh no. Yeah. So how is the URL looks like? https:// bucket one dot dot s3 dot ap minus south minus one dot amazonaws.com/ puppy.jpg. Guys, yes or no? This is one. This is the URL of puppy.jpg to call. Yes. Same way. Now what I do, I create one more bucket. I call it as cost bucket two. Cost bucket two. And how is the URLs look like? Cost bucket two. And I also have one puppy.jpg there. So I also have puppy.jpg, guys. Okay. Tell me, can I call this puppy.jpg URL in this index.html? Yes. Correct. Anywhere I can go ahead and call. Correct, guys? Okay. I can go and call. So if I go and call this index.html, then I try to open this index.html. Can you tell me this puppy.jpg will be seen in this index.html if I'm calling from other bucket? Answer is no. Because this is one domain, this is another domain. So in these two domains, the resources are sharing? Answer is no. By default, no. So that's the reason why we call it as cross-origin resource sharing. So here, origin is this. Origin is nothing but domain only, no? This is one origin, and this is another origin. So the resources are not getting shared across the origins here. So that's the reason why puppy.jpg will not be seen here. So what we need to do in order to see the puppy.jpg, so guys, what we need to do is we need to enable CORS. What we need to enable? Enable CORS. Okay, now you tell me, where should I go and enable the CORS? In the bucket 2 only, no? Because puppy.jpg is not listing from here, right? CORS. So here, CORS is nothing but it's a JSON code. It's a predefined JSON code where you need to mention to which domain you need to share to which domain you need to share. So which domain we are sharing, which origin we are sharing here from here to, so we are sharing it to CORS bucket one, correct? You can use CORS bucket one or you can use star. If you use star, so this puppy.jpg, anyone can go and call this puppy.jpg from this bucket. But if you specifically mention that particular CORS bucket one, so this puppy.jpg will be available, will be shared only to the CORS bucket one origin. So this is called cross origin resource sharing. Is this clear? This is a real time thing. Usually you will get this kind of errors from if you're calling from S3. City, is this clear till here, everyone? Non-IT? Okay. Okay. So now we have something called here. What is that content negotiation meaning? There is no concept here in S3 like that. So here we have something called CRR, cross region replication. Right now, CRR, cross region replication, and we also have SRR, same region replication. CRR and SRR. Okay, so what is this CRR and SRR? So guys, as the name says, cross region replication. So you have a bucket. Okay, let's say this bucket is in Mumbai region. Okay, and then you have some objects inside it, let's say index.html. And you want to take the backup of index.html. I'm giving some example. Or you want to make the same file available in some other bucket, which is in another region. Let's take Tokyo. Okay, you have Tokyo. So guys, let's say for example, guy wants to access index.html. So all the way he need to access this here, right? Okay. So you have a low latency or high latency from here. Obviously high latency. So instead of the Tokyo guy accessing index.html all the way here, so why can't you create a rule here? So we create a rule, CRR rule in the bucket one, and says that whatever you upload inside this bucket, whatever you upload inside the bucket will get automatically replicated to this bucket. So this is called a replication, cross-region replication. Why it is cross-region? Because it is. So now if I go ahead and enable and upload puppy.jpg, so the same puppy.jpg will be get uploaded over here, will be available here. Yes. So you can use this for any kind of requirement. If you want to take as a backup, as a DR, or if as however it is. So the concept here is can be replicated. The data from the bucket, the objects in the bucket can be replicated to the another bucket in another region. And also you can replicate to another account also. CRR can be replicated across account also possible. So I have my own account. I have my own account. And I am replicating my objects to Andre's account. He has different account. Possible? Yes, it is. It's not free. It's not free because you are transferring the data, right? But as you are in free tier, maybe some GB might be free, but not generally. It's not free. But this CRR is enabled by default, guys. CRR is not enabled by default. And for this, okay, now I have the bucket here. I have the bucket here, and which is in Mumbai. Can you tell me if I'm replicating from here to here, then what is that called? Yes, this is called SRR. Same region replication. The CRR and SRR is enabled on bucket level. And also, guys, set up this CRR, versioning is mandatory. versioning is mandatory to have CRR or SRR. Can you tell me now, index.html will be replicated automatically to Tokyo? Index.html. No, because the CRR rule is created after index.html is created, correct? But whenever you're creating the rule, it will ask, do you want to replicate the existing objects? Yes. If you say yes, yes, existing objects can also be replicated at the time of creating. Existing objects can also be replicated at the time of creating CRR rule. Okay. Generally, no, but recently they have added this. Existing object can also be replicated. City, everyone understood CRR, SRR? Sir, is there anything RRR also in this? No. Riaz replication. No. Only CRR and SRR. Did you really ask or it's a joke or what, Swati? What does that represent if you... Yeah. Kidding, okay. Why you are worried about the cost if you are not going and doing it? No, the cost is all about how much size the data you're transferring, replicating based on that only, and how much size you are storing in the bucket. So this the S3 cost depend upon the size, how much size that you are storing in the bucket, and how much data transfer you are doing it. The price is based on that. Okay. City clear? Clear? Okay. Sir, we have to enable version in all regions. No, it is not about like regions. Don't, you have EC2 in your mind. No, it is not like that. It's a bucket level. Okay, it's on the bucket level. You create a bucket, but the region you will be selecting it. For the bucket level versioning, we need to enable it. So if you have the bucket in Mumbai, yes, go and enable the versioning for that bucket. So it is not on the region level, it is on the bucket levels. Bucket will be created in that region. Okay. Okay. Now, very important thing we'll talk about is encryption. Stay with that. That I'll show tomorrow. We'll do the practice on versioning also tomorrow. So guys, encryption. So what is this encryption is used for? Guys, you know, right? For security purpose. So do you know encryption can be done in two ways? Encryption can be done in two ways. Very good. Number, what we do is, this is very common in general, not only in S3, but for everyone. So we call it as in-transit encryption. And also we call it as data at rest encryption. Right? You can call it as in-transit or in-flight, both are same. So what is this in-transit? So when this encryption while data is moving. So where is the data is moving, guys? Moving or transferring? So when you're using HTTPS protocol, correct? Yes. So if you're using HTTPS protocol, the data is moving from one place to other place. So if you want to encrypt that moving, then that encryption we call it as in-transit encryption or in-flight. Data at rest meaning, where is the data is rest, is taking rest? Encryption while data is at rest, like drive, correct? Like volumes, correct? For volumes, how do we do the encryption? For volumes, excellent, KMS. And how do we do the encryption for HTTPS? Where do you create the certificates? Yes. Do you remember Amazon Certificate Manager, ACM? So you can create a certificate in ACM and then start using it. That is in transit. So ACM is where you can generate the HTTPS certificate. So that is called in transit. You can use that for in transit encryption. And KMS, Key Management Service. KMS. So KMS is where you can create encryption keys for data at rest. Understood, everyone? How to use in-transit and data at rest encryptions? So decryptions, do you need to worry about the decryptions? No, you don't need to worry about the decryptions. Okay, so this is in general encryptions in two ways. But how does this AWS S3 is doing the encryption? So Amazon S3 has 3 types of encryptions. How many types? There are 3 types of encryptions. Three types of encryptions. And those are so mainly we call it as server-side encryption. Call it server-side encryption, client-side encryption, and in-transit encryption. So guys, as I said, 3 types: server-side encryption, client-side encryption, and then in-transit encryption. So in-transit encryption, we know how do we do it using HTTPS. So guys, client-side encryption, who should be taking care of it? Should be handled by customer. So customer should be handling it client-side encryption. In server-side encryption, we have basically 3 types. Shortcut guys, server-side encryption, we call it as SSC, SSC S3, SSC KMS, SSC C. Very important. So the most common key encryption keys that we use in S3 is SSC S3 only. So SSC S3 is the key. Do you remember? You can use this by default AWS managed key. You can use it, or you can create a keys from KMS. Correct? So you can create a key from KMS and you can use that, or you can use customer provided key. Customer provided keys. So these are the different types of encryption keys available in the S3. So which is the most common key that people use? 90%. What is your answer? SSC S3. SSC S3 is the AWS managed key that people will be using it. Guys, do you remember in volumes, if you want to encrypt the volume, If you select it, there is something called AWS/EPS. There will be a default key, no? I showed you. So like this, for each and every service, there will be a default key which is managed by AWS. You can use that for encryption. Or if not, if you want to create your own key, yes, go and create a key from KMS and you use it here. Chitty, okay? Clear? And this is using something called an algorithm which is called AES 256. What algorithm is they use? Advanced Encryption Standard, the full form of AES. This is a certification question. AES 256 is the algorithm which they'll be using it for this encryption. Data is rest, meaning I wrote it here while data is at rest. So in your C drive, the data will be just simply sitting it, right? Is that doing any action, Suresh? No, right? So the data which is stable, it is not moving, like in your disk, your database, yes, in your wherever it is. Is this clear slowly, guys? Okay. And now we have here S3 data consistency model. The names it shows like this, but it's very easy. There are two types of data consistency models. This is also not only for S3, it is most of the services. Okay, the name it shows it looks like, but it's very easy. See, this is the bucket. Guys, can you tell me? This is the bucket. If you want to read, first what you need to do? You need to write it, right? Let's say, if you want to read, first you need to write. Agree? If you want to read, you want to write. So can I call it as read after write? Okay, read after write. So I am uploading. Uploading meaning, can I say put of new objects? Put of new objects. So can I say that here, read after write consistency for puts of new objects. This is one consistency model. So guys, this is certification question. So it's a read after write consistency for puts of new objects. Okay, now, so if you write it immediately, you can read it, correct? Now you have modified this. Let's say, for example, you have A, B, C data in index.html. So now you have changed it to DEF, for example. Sometimes you will get kind of things, no? Whenever you have modified this file, sometimes for a second you will get the old data, correct? And if you refresh it, you will get the new data. Agree? Sometimes you will see this kind of things. That meaning it is eventually consistency. If you are overwriting it, you will see the old data. Slowly it will get updated. And if you delete also, sometimes you'll get the file, correct? But if you refresh it, the file will not be available. So this is the consistency model that you have it here also. We call it as eventually consistency for what one, for what? Overwrites. Whenever you overwrites of puts and deletes. So if you overwrites the uploaded one, the puts and deletes slowly, that meaning it will take time. Take time meaning fraction of seconds only. So you have these two types of data consistency models are available. So guys, this puts of new objects is very important. Overwrites of puts and deletes are important. They'll change these names in the certification. Understood? Is this clear? Consistency models? Okay. So guys, not kind of, see again. Data consistency models. So basically, we no need to discuss, this will be happening automatically. But I am just putting this across here because you might get a certification question. So for the theory purpose, you need to know. So what is the first one? Do you all agree you need to write, then only you can read for puts of new objects? Agree? Read after write, consistency for puts of new objects. Whenever, so your uploading is nothing but put only, no? So put meaning new object only, no? So whenever you are writing it, then only you reading it. That's why we call it as read after write for puts of new objects. Correct? Yes or no? Agree. Krishna, Andre, right? Read after. So whenever you are writing it, after, yes, after write, then only you will be reading it. So for the new objects meaning puts. So the second one is sometimes for that puts, you will be overwriting it from ABC to DEF, or you are doing some changes, or you are deleting it completely. Whenever you do this, you will be seeing the old data sometimes. That is called eventually. Eventually meaning what? Slowly. But is that slow? No. It's fraction of seconds you can do the modifications, but you have these you have these two consistency models. Okay, good. And let's say, for example, here, give an example. Good, you got to know. So let's say this is a bucket, and this bucket, let's say, guys, what is the, give me one movie which is not released, awaiting, most awaited movie. What is that? Pathan, no? Okay, I'll go with Pathan. Okay. So, yeah, let's say we have Pathan. So now just imagine, assume I have a bucket and I have a Pathan movie there already. So I want to give this as a premium show only to my friends, only to for particular people. So for all them, should I give the full access to the bucket? No. So what you can do is, guys, this Pathan movie also has some, it has an object URL, no? Yes. So what I can do is for this endpoint, I will be generating a pre-signed URL. What I call it as pre-signed URL. Write down the word pre-signed URL. So I'll be generating a temporary URL which is valid only for certain period of time. So endpoint, this URL endpoint is valid only for certain period of time. So what I do, I will just give only for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's based on my requirement. So you just need to put the time. So after that, what will do? So for example, certain period for a time, example, let's say 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, what will happen? URL expires. After 5 minutes, oh, URL expires. So this one is for temporary purpose. This is called pre-signed URL. Clear? This pre-signed URL is clear? Pretty? Oh, nice. Good. So, guys, there is something called transfer acceleration. What is it, Chiti? Transfer acceleration. So we don't use this, but what is this transfer acceleration is? Basically, let's say, for example, we have different regions, no? We have Ireland, we have Ohio, we have Canada, right? Sorry. And we have, let's say, US. So basically, call it as. Okay. Yes. So now you are sitting here in Hyderabad. Okay. Now you want to upload some objects to Ireland or some other or some other region, some region. So you'll be using your normal internet connection, right? Let's say, for example, internet connection, it is taking 5 minutes to upload, but you want to upload huge data very fastly. So for that, you can accelerate the transfer from your place to some other regions. So you can use this transfer acceleration concept, and from here, you can upload all your objects to Ireland using transfer acceleration fastly. So the backbone of this transfer acceleration is nothing but CDN. So this is used for faster upload. This is CDN meaning obviously in the backend it is AWS network only. So instead of using your normal internet to connect to upload to Ireland region or Ohio region, whichever region it is. So if you want to make it faster, then can go with the transfer acceleration. So you will get a certification question here. What is the transfer acceleration is using in the backend for faster upload? What is that? CDN. City understood? Is this clear? There are few small uh, few small options or features also there in S3. We'll see that in so there is something called we know static website hosting, we can do it, right? And few inventory we can do it, guys. Inventories we can do it. Inventory, what is that inventory? So if you do the inventory, you will get to know what all the objects you have it in the bucket, right? And then it will give the inventory. It will also give the access patterns. Based on that, we'll be creating the LCM rules. We will see that all these things, guys. You know one good thing, we are done with S3. Simple, injected without pain. Yes, additional cost involved. Yes. Any questions? We'll aim till end of this month, Siraj. So tomorrow we'll go with the practical on S3. Yes, there is a third-party tool called, I'll show you that Convoy. So there is something called S3 browser, which is my favorite tool, which I use always. So I'll show you that in practicals tomorrow. Any extra information? What is there? Any extra information? Whatever is there in S3, I teach you everything. But when doing the practicals, if we are need to know more information, we'll talk. Krishna, take the screenshots. Both are different. Both are for storage purpose only, but S3 is for regular storage. Glacier is for archive. Convoy. Any hint of interview questions? Same thing. Just follow my yeah. follow my pains, more than sufficient. And second one. And I didn't receive your email. Probably you might have. No. So maybe it's Ymail. So that is. I will send this to this. Yes, next. Done. And that one. Good. Super. So from tomorrow, what we do is we'll do the practical on S3. We'll go